Hey, it's Christine Gritmon here with Social. I do this show every single week where I interview one of my smart friends about some topic relating to social media, small business, entrepreneurship, whatever they got. And this month is LinkedIn month, as you may have noticed. And today's guest is the fabulous Judi Fox. Judi Fox rocks. Hey, Judi.
Hi.
And she, of course, has the fox ears. I specifically requested those. So tell the folks at home what you do, Judi.
I am a LinkedIn business accelerator focusing on leveling up people's marketing and sales activities on LinkedIn.
I love that. And that's so important nowadays because for years and years, people got accustomed to not really utilizing LinkedIn as much as they could. It was a fairly static place to park your resume. And then some people started just, that plus sales pitches. And there's this whole area in between, which is really where the action's at. So today's discussion is going to be about turning those connections and conversations that we're having on LinkedIn, hopefully, into sales. So, Judi, I'm guessing the way to do this is not to send a connection request with a sales pitch in it.
Correct. So many people use the words know, like, and trust.
I'm literally considering a tattoo of those words. I love that it's a cliche, and I love it. Know, like, trust. Let's talk about what that means.
Yes. So cliches are cliches for a reason because they stick in our brains, highly memorable, and we can kind of land back on them. But breaking down what does know, like, and trust mean on LinkedIn, super important. So know is literally, do they know that you exist as a human being on this planet?
So you don't have to actually know them in real life. It doesn't have to be someone you've been to a networking event with or anything like that. They just have to not be like Judi who.
Yes. And that's the whole point of the first message. Hey, I found you from watching you on Christine Gritmon's show. And I listened to you and I got a chance to know you, basically that I'm aware that you exist and I wanted to send you a message, and then that opens up a conversation.
Love that. So that's the know. So that's before we even get into why they should care about knowing you. Just, hey, I exist. Now, how do we get into that like piece?
The like piece doesn't always come from, so first it can come from you just keep showing up in their world. So if they never see you again, they are still unaware that you exist.
Yes.
So the way that you show up in their world is through a million different ways. Sometimes, even because of LinkedIn, you want to go over to other platforms and check them out, be proactive, but not stalkery, of how to go over and be a supportive community member to them. A lot of times we think about how can they show up on my content? I need to write content for them. Go out and find out what they're talking about already. If they're your ideal client, start to check out what they're saying. Start to see what they're talking about. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on YouTube. What are they already talking about? Maybe if you can read between the lines, you can tell if they're posting or talking about any pain points. And then you can actually have a better conversation in the direct messages.
And that's so important. I want to talk about the importance of that for just a second, because so many people, they figure it's all about, first of all, the numbers. It's all about connecting with as many people as possible because, the likelihood of getting a sale from that will kind of go up, in theory, if they know a ton of people. And it's about redefining what know means. Does know mean their name is on your connections list? Or does know mean you actually know what the heck they care about? So it's not just being known, it's knowing them.
Correct. And if you can do that, and say, for example, you do that for 10 ideal clients, and you really, truly do understand maybe some internal dialogue of what they are actually saying versus you guessing what your ideal client is saying, and you've spent even just a little bit of time, it doesn't take weeks or years, it literally could take 2 or 3 days to just sit down, map out 10 potential ideal clients, maybe they're past clients, and you loved working with them, go check out what they're up to. The moment you're able to speak the same language and multiply that out to multiple conversations, you'll keep attracting similar clients, similar connections, similar ideal conversations, and you'll already know what their brains are thinking. Now, does everyone think the same? No, but you'll be closer and you'll kind of hit it either on the side of the head or on the nail or direct hit. But either way, you're going to get way closer than trying to mass communicate to 100+ people in a cold direct message that has no reference to them, and they ask themselves, I don't know how you can help me. Because that's a lot of what people are saying in their heads when they get a cold message.
Yes, a lot of people on LinkedIn, they're going broad. They're taking advantage of the scalability of the internet and of automatic messaging instead of going deep. And you're saying that they should go deep, not broad.
You can still close 100 clients going deep. But what ends up happening is, say, for example, I pick these 10 people and I really, really figure out what's going on in their lives, their head, whatever. You then are naturally built at that point, because if somebody listens in on your conversation with them, they're probably going to get sold. Nice. Because you're solving their problem and you're connecting with somebody without directly having to speak to that person. So that's how it multiplies out. So if you can then create content that shares that, or somehow finds a way to share testimonials, referrals, results from those 10 people that you've niched down to say, these are my 10 ideal clients. If I had 100 of these people every single year, how many does it take? You know, like in your business, do you need, and figure that out, because so many people are trying to reach out to 25,000 when truly they just need, let's just play it, the numbers. Maybe you only need 20 clients a year. I don't know where your business and what your ticket and what your items are, but how many do you need? And figure that out, because you don't need to communicate with 100,000 people, because you'll spread yourself too thin.
And this also really speaks to the ability of, this speaks to the tendency of the old school sales model of outbound selling, where it was, you know what, just try to make as many sales as possible, and some of them are bound to land. Some of them are bound to happen. Instead, it sounds like you're referring more of an inbound model, where you are putting solutions and values out there in an effort to attract them, which sounds like a lot more work than just spraying a ton of messages out there saying, buy my thing.
And when you see that it's more work, it turns out it's really not if you create more evergreen content. So that's where I'm still in the camp of, how can you create content that continues to work for you versus trying to create just one flash in the pan post. So for example, you can, I'm maybe posting once a month on my Instagram feed, maybe once a month on my LinkedIn feed, because I consider my comments on the platform to be content.
Oh, I love that. That's a really good point. And it's about creating the type of content and putting the types of things out there that will continue to work for you. Once you put them out there, they'll continue to do the work for you. So what kinds of content do that? Podcasts.
These live streams that you get on with people who then can create micro content from that. I am starting to work with somebody, because again, it's about leveraging your time. So if you can find somebody who can help you create micro content from macro content, so very similar to a Gary Vaynerchuk model, which he has put out in like a 20,000 slide document. I'm sure it's not that many, but the point is, it is so well documented out in the world that you can take macro pieces of content, anything that's been recorded for 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh no, did we lose Judi? Okay, I know how to handle this. I'm going to go back in and call her back. Hopefully this will not be one of those ones where it goes to the phone. Let's launch Skype again. Oh, Skype. Here we go. But to Judi's point, creating micro content out of macro content. Hey, Judi, sorry we lost you, but you were talking about creating macro content out of micro content. No, micro content out of macro content. Sorry. So creating small pieces of content out of a larger piece, spin-offs.
Yeah, so you're not sitting around trying to constantly, oh, I have to now get ready to film and I have to now do this. I have to do all this content. Did I freeze again? I am
No, I
so
see you. I see you.
okay, good. um, so yes, that concept of podcasts, YouTube videos, even Instagram stories that make sure you always download. If I even reached out to you and said, oh no, I missed your Instagram story, I just want to have them saved on my phone so that I can repurpose them. You can repurpose everything. And too many people are thinking from scratch. And we do not have to think from scratch. The moment you make one piece of long form content, you should have content that goes out at least for the next month to sometimes even 2 months.
And that's a really good point. And another point is, you said, save that content, have it at the ready, and you can post it a few times. People worry, oh, but people are going to notice it's the same content. But no one is paying that much attention to your content, and not everyone is seeing every piece.
Correct. And then we think that we need to create different content for different platforms. And I don't necessarily think the video, sometimes people really think, because the video takes a lot of work for a lot of people. And I totally respect that, especially if you're breaking up that micro content. So one tip is to just use the same video, but maybe change the text that goes with it. Obviously with Twitter, it's going to be short text. If you're making micro content for LinkedIn, it has a different, I try to use the word leadership text versus trying to tell people to be professional, because professional truly is different for everybody. And I don't think you have to show up buttoned up, suit and tie to be professional.
I wear my ears.
Yes.
You can have funky colored hair. You get to define what professional is for your personal brand.
Correct. And that's why it's easier. I notice it's easier to coach and teach LinkedIn from a place of you're going to show up as a leader. A leader can be really fun. A leader can be somebody, because you are truly inspiring action. You're inspiring people to be better people. You're just showing people how you want other people to treat people in the world. It's all about people. When you get to leadership level, you are thinking, and everyone can be a leader. I don't care what your job title is, you can show up as a leader. And so I think that allows and breaks down that maybe wall of this is my title, this is who I am. If you come from a place of leadership, it's totally different. It just changes the tone. It changes the idea of how you're supposed to post on LinkedIn.
I'd love to explore that, because LinkedIn is, as you said, it is a different type of message from that which you would put forth on other platforms. It really is all about leadership. So can we talk about how the type of content that works on LinkedIn maybe is a little bit different from how it might be on other platforms?
Yes. The type of content, the reason why you have to think about the other person and how they look to their boss. Pretend the person coming to your post is going to give it a like. Does that make them admit or like something that is positive? Like, I'm working on my goals. Here's some level up tips for your goals this year. That might make them look smart that they're consuming that in front of their boss, because their colleagues, their boss, their peers, their employees that work for them, if they're a CEO, they're able to see your likes and comments more than any other platform, because this platform is truly more of a social, I'm leveling up myself, my business, what I'm looking at, and we're able to see that, and we have micro moments of judging. And so if your boss, and I've had people tell me, wow, the moment I started to truly think about that, not only from how I give my likes and comments, but also from how other people, I'm making them look smart by giving this a like and a comment.
It's
I'm
more
making
development.
them look smart to their boss. Yes.
It's development oriented. It's an opportunity not only to put your content out there that helps people develop themselves, but it shows off to other people, hey, look, I'm developing myself by consuming this. That is fantastic. So that's the type of content we put out there. That's how we sort of grease the wheels. That's how we get from no to like. and ideally to trust because we're giving them something, and including kind of reflected glory. Let's talk about how we actually move that into sales, because someone might be consuming your content, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they even know what you do or how to become a client.
Yes. And so this goes to the next level, that when you hit trust, when people truly want to see how you can work together, at this point, you have several things happening. Behind the scenes, you have to have a built-out business, that you do have the support system, the educational information, but people are not always wanting more information. At this point, they want to trust that you can truly make the results and the transformation happen. So you are not here to sell each module or each piece of the program. They're here to trust that what working with you or your team or your business or collaborating is going to get them results.
So it's outcome first selling.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Because again, I'm thinking back. I mean, I've got an engineering background. I've got environmental management. I've got my MBA business degree in sustainability.
Wow.
So with all of those businesses and experiences, and then working with other brands and companies, it's so, I almost can't even imagine what business doesn't want to know at the end of the day that when you give me all these steps and all of phase 1 of this project, phase 2 of this project, it's always the executive summary. What are the results? What is the outcome? Are we going to achieve the goal that corporate has set, that has come down from the CEO? Are we going to achieve, and what are the steps in between to achieve, and how many people need to be involved in achieving this? And it's results. I mean, you can dig into the micro steps, but that's not the important part. The projects that close are the ones that impart a sense of, we've got you. You came to us to alleviate pain, not to cause you more pain and more confusion. So they don't want more information. They want transformation.
I love that. So let's talk about 2 main ways that people tend to communicate those results to actually make that sale. And I'm curious about your thoughts on each of them and how to handle them. One of them is calls to action in the content, and another one is direct conversations, taking it to the DMs. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on sort of how to handle each of those, or even if you do want to touch both of those, maybe you don't.
Yeah, so in the content, I love, again, I've already talked about Gary Vaynerchuk. If you don't know who he is, go check him out.
He's a little bit of a legend.
He's a little big. But he has a book called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And I actually ended up converting that, not all of his calls to action. And I don't how you read something and he doesn't really even have, I don't think there's even a chapter on LinkedIn, or if it is, it's the shortest micro chapter. So what I ended up doing is kind of breaking and actually creating the chapter that doesn't exist in Jab, Jab, Right Hook.
Nice.
And so I actually ended up thinking outside the box and still using the punching analogy. I don't know why we have to be so violent with punching, but we've got now a light punch, a harder punch, and a knockout, because too many people think jab, jab is the same level of hit.
Yeah.
So light punch, light tap, harder punch, knockout. And that way you truly do have these different layers of calls to action. So the light punch on LinkedIn is trying to drive traffic to have a conversation publicly in the comments. And the way that I do that with new connections, and this is like some gold here, but the way I do that is when you get a direct message and you're not sure if that person is an ideal client, and they're not they're coming from a place of maybe trying to cold pitch you, and you can tell, the best message is to turn around and say, the best way to get to know each other is through the public comments on the platform. Go ahead and follow my hashtag foxrocks, and you'll be able to see all my content, and we can have a public conversation in the comments.
That is really interesting, because a lot of marketing gurus will say the opposite. They'll say, get it to the DMs as quickly as possible. I like what you're saying here, because then that relationship that you have with someone becomes content for you.
Well, and yes, exactly. Number one, it becomes content for you, the person writing that message. Number two, they're not a warm lead.
Yeah.
I want my inbox to be warm or hot leads. That's it. So if I see somebody who's cold, who we don't know each other, I don't know you. I don't know you and you don't know me. And actually, I want to work with people that I know anyways. It depends on what business you're running. I respect that. There are some businesses that truly it could be a cold lead and it's a whole different world. But we're talking about businesses that need to have some type of relationship to close at a higher ticket level. Maybe the projects are 20, 100, 1 million. I mean, there are $1 million projects that some of my clients are closing. That is a whole different relationship that has a longer lead and longer relationship time. So you're in the millions. You definitely want to not just act like a cold lead is worth a ton of direct messages to figure out if you're a good fit.
Okay.
Go out publicly and create them and make a relationship there. Maybe they're a great relationship, but you can't tell that in their first message. So if you cannot tell who somebody is and what they're about, and if they're cold pitching you, pitch them back to become a commenter.
I like that. I like that. And I'm always trying to remind myself, it's okay if it turns somebody off because then they're the wrong somebody.
Correct.
If they're not trying to build a relationship, if they're not trying to become a part of your community, they're just trying to make that direct sale just to you, it's okay to turn that person off. That's a really good point.
Yeah, and then you'll find out by commenting, you find out you've got these amazing people in your comments, and you're like, whoa, I couldn't tell that from the direct message. Because I want to honor the fact that there are teams, there are people who are sitting around, and this is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It's just that sometimes they create these direct messages in a vacuum.
Yes.
And then they come across as very distant. And then if you can't tell, turn them into a commenter on your content. So
I really like that.
The other way for you is when you are trying to get their attention, the best way is to truly go out and make sure you know what they're already talking about, what they say in their LinkedIn profile. The best conversations that I have been able to start, and yes, it takes a click to check out their LinkedIn profile, looks like you are super passionate about XYZ. That is great. Glad to be connected. And that's your first awareness. Because they just need to know that you're not coming after them to, I need to pitch you on this thing that I can help you with. They don't know that you can help them.
That's huge. So those are the light punches. Let's get into the slightly heavier punch. What does that look like?
The slightly heavier punch is to convert to a direct message. Want to talk about this more, this topic, especially again, this is in your content. So you're going to say something like, grab a spot on my calendar. My calendar is available for strategy calls, a 15-minute strategy call, or whatever boundaries you have on your business that you process people through, but make it easy to click to get to your calendar. Personally, I have an application process. It's just to make sure we are going to both value our time. So too many people on the platform think, let's get on a free call.
Yep.
The platform doesn't necessarily need more chit-chatting. Yes, people want to create relationships. I am all for that. Me and you have created a relationship, and I love it. Mm-hmm. And I also want to say that we didn't hit each other. We've probably spent in each other's circle for over a year, and now we're on this video call together.
Yes, and we've been together in real life now.
But
when we met up in real life, we already were familiar with each other, and we were already a member of each other's communities. Here's my question. If you're putting that hard punch, that link to a call, in your content, is that the content that everyone gets to see? So it's kind of, like, how does that work in terms of being the harder punch?
So the harder punch that's more of potentially a harder punch. It's maybe it drives traffic to check out your profile because you're going to put not the link to your external calendar right there. You're going to say that the link to your calendar is in your profile.
Ah.
So I'm not necessarily hard punching them to go to my website or to go to this. I'm keeping them on the platform. I'm giving I have a whole list of harder punch. This is just one of them.
Yeah.
So the idea there is have a way for them to get more info. Maybe that harder punch is it's on your website, but drive traffic to check out an optimized LinkedIn profile. If you want to get more information about this topic, check out what I have on my LinkedIn profile. Drive people to watch or look or consume another post of yours on LinkedIn. So don't try to act like I need to send them off LinkedIn yet. Mm-hmm. That post is definitely more about, here's how to get more. If you want more, here's how to get more. But don't try to make them go more as in like all the way. But yes, they can go over to your profile, see that you have a calendar link there, and then go book a spot on your calendar and apply for a call. And it converts. It works. Yeah. It's more driving traffic in that harder punch. Now, the knockout is where you truly lean in on, this is what after you've given some value in your post, you're going to close with a scarcity model, a type of limited time offer energy, much more sales scripted area down there where you truly do put the link to your calendar. You give them the application, you give them your website. And yes, that post may not go as far because it could have a more of a sales higher level. But if you've built up to a hot audience, you will get some good sales calls from that. But you don't want to do the Gary Vaynerchuk model. It is the jab, right hook. So not every post is built to sell you. It's the awareness. We know you exist. Now we go over, we trust you. We want to check out what you're up to. We'll go to your profile and then we want to knock out. Oh my gosh, I do want to work with her. I've been seeing her for a year now. I've seen her pattern of the different types of light punch, harder punch knockout. But every single time you need to earn their trust above. You don't hit the hard punch at the beginning. So
am I correct that the knockout kind of happens in the DMs or once you're in direct communication with people?
Yes. So then once you're on a phone call, it's yours to win or lose. People a lot of times will say, at this point, I've noticed a pattern. They'll say, how can we work together? What's your business? How can I get what you're offering? For all of my clients. So I have clients who are offering leadership coaching. I have clients that are course creators. They help people make courses. I have clients that have, I'm trying to think, real estate clients that are trying to sell more real estate. And at the end of the day, we sit down and map out their back end of their sales. What's the best top of their final funnel that we want people to go into? So if that is, and I'll just point out the Harmon brothers, for example.
Oh, they're so great.
I know. And I just worked with them on their LinkedIn. Yes. And they are now highlighting because we went through their website. And I said, if this is how you want your website to work, make your LinkedIn profile work the same way. It gives a consistent message to the person coming to your website, your LinkedIn profiles, your company, that you have a very smooth, seamless way of onboarding every client. It gives us a sense of relaxation. And then that's why we flipped. So we changed. I should do a before and after because it almost is a simple before and after. But the before is send me a direct message. But yet they have an application process on their website. So now it says, it says message me for an application. So that way he can send the link the moment somebody sends a direct message, because it is easier to stay on the platform. But now they know they're going to get a link to the application.
I love that. And making people jump through those little extra hoops is also a really good way of not wasting your time with people who didn't feel that it was worth it to jump through those hoops. And just for context, for people who don't know who the Harmon brothers are, they do those amazing, hilarious videos for things like Poopery, Squatty Potty, Lumi deodorant, which I just ordered because I kept seeing their video everywhere.
Yes, they have billions of views on their content. And so I love that they came to me for their LinkedIn strategy.
Nice. You should get like a free Squatty Potty out of that or something.
I have my Coop to Gold book and I was just on their podcast. So
nice. Oh, wow. Well, I think that works then. That's amazing. Well, this is fantastic, Judi Fox. Thank you so much. Judi Fox rocks. Follow that hashtag.
Hashtag Fox rocks.
Hashtag foxrocks. Awesome sauce. That is fantastic. Thank you, Judi, for helping us figure out how to go from connections to conversions on LinkedIn in a way that's not sleazy or cold or salesy, but in a way that is really going to go deep and get you those real connections and those good clients.
Yes.
Yes.
I want everyone to love their DMs on LinkedIn. And
Yes.
if you don't, send me a message and we'll figure it out.
So where can people find you? On LinkedIn, I gather.
On LinkedIn, it's Judi. So we always have to point out Judi. So Judifox. And you can also go to my website, judifox.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Judi Fox. Again, I'm Christine Gritmon. I do this show every single week where I talk to smart friends about social media, digital marketing, business, all that jazz. It's LinkedIn month, so we're finishing up LinkedIn month next week with Goldie Chan talking about LinkedIn video. She's really been an incredible leader in the LinkedIn video space. And so many people aren't sure how to use video on LinkedIn. So make sure to tune in next week for that. Thanks. Bye.